country, of course, as we know, is spending more than £6 million a day on hotels for migrants. Now, one way that the government is trying to cut that mammoth bill is by evicting people 7 days after they've been granted asylum. And this, mark my words, will be an absolutely huge story, because more than 140 refugee groups have written to senior ministers Suella Braverman and Michael Gove to say that this policy is causing severe hardship for refugees. Look, at the moment, we have human rights groups and charities and lawyers queuing up to, in my view, act as an extension to the human trafficking industry. Allow these people into Britain and say we will do everything we can to keep you here. What they are not telling these people is that once you get refugee or asylum status, you will have nowhere to live. And that is what we are now being confronted by. I'm joined by Mark Hoath, who's a Reform UK candidate. Mark, thank you very much for joining me on this. There's only one solution if we don't want homeless refugees and asylum seekers, and that is to build houses specifically for them. And I would argue that isn't a solution. So what on earth is going to happen?
Well, that isn't a solution at all. The problem is that we need to stop them at source from coming in. You know, what we need to do is we need to declare a national emergency, because it is an emergency. Thousands of people are coming every week at the moment. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from. They get rid of their ID and they're coming by their thousands. And this is just not acceptable. And so this sort of work that's going on with the Home Office strikes me as a little bit, look, well, we're going to try and act a little bit tough here. But actually, they're not actually acting tough at all. This is
the natural culmination, OK, to what we are seeing. And we should now be going to Calais, in my view, and as a matter of urgency, and explaining to people on the other side of the channel that you may well be able to pay somebody thousands of pounds to get to Britain. You may well be able to get advice from a very lovely, fluffy refugee charity, and you may well be able to get free legal help as well. And you may well be able to get asylum status or refugee status. But you will not have anywhere to live because we don't have the houses. And this is the thing that Care for Calais and other groups like that conveniently ignore when they are helping people come across the channel.
Yeah, exactly. And so they conveniently ignore it. And then in that case, then what then happens is they come across, and then it costing us, as you said earlier on, £6 million every day to sort of keep these people. And, you know, some of them are genuine asylum seekers, but the vast majority of them aren't. They're economic migrants. They've decided that this is where they want to come. 87% of them are male, sort of under the age of sort of 40. So they're kind of military age, and it's just not acceptable. And so why isn't anybody... I mean, Rishi Sunak's is just a joke, really, isn't he? I mean, he talks about stopping the boat. He hasn't stopped the boats. It was one of his main priorities, and he's failed abjectly.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying...
He fails at everything he tries to do.
He's saying at the moment that the crossings are down. Clearly, they've not actually stopped, and that is a key thing. I do put it to you, though, Mark, that what do we actually do with people who are now being turfed out of hotels? What do we do? So that's the reality. We can sit here and say we should be warning people coming across the channel that we can't house them. We can sit here and say that it's a disgrace that this is happening. We can, you know, slate some of the charities and the human rights organisations. We can do whatever we want. But the fact is, we are currently being confronted by, and will be confronted by, tens of thousands of homeless refugees and asylum seekers who have been granted refuge and asylum status. So what do we do?
Well, to be honest, Patrick, I honestly don't know what you do. Because the thing is, they're all coming over. They've actually, you know, these people have been granted refugee status. And if they've been granted refugee status, when in actual fact, they probably should be found somewhere to live. But what really annoys me, and I know this really annoys the vast majority of the British public, is the fact that these people are given priority over British homeless people. How many British homeless people get put up in 4-star, 5-star hotels, you know, just for pitching up at Dover? And they've made such a mess of this. It is staggering. It is absolutely staggering, the mess that Sunak and the rest. And don't get me wrong, Labour won't be any better. You know, I mean, they'll probably be worse, but they've made such a mess of this whole thing. So the the ultimate answer that I'm going to give you is I don't know what you do with it.
And this is the reality, because
in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Mark, thank you very much. Mark Hoath there is a Reform UK candidate. This story is going to be absolutely huge in the coming weeks, months and possibly years as well, which is that on account of the fact that we do not have enough houses, all of those people who are coming across here who will be granted refugee and asylum seeker status will ultimately be told you're going to have to leave your hotels. And they are being told that, and they're given about 7 days. And then they're homeless. So why aren't the charities telling them that? I mean, there is an argument to say this would act as a deterrent to people if they were told that, yes, you can become an asylum seeker here, but you will end up on the streets. Fine, OK, there's that side of things. But what do we do? Because we're going to end up having to build houses for these people, aren't we? And then do we prioritise them over Brits? That story's got a long way to go.